Gents, I'm back. Hope y'all are getting over to the YouTube channel and checking it out. I know there's a lot of y'all who have not made it over, and I ain't tripping. But hey, clicks are free, and that channel ain't even monetized. I just feel I'm able to be a little bit more dynamic with my content now. The video content may not be top notch yet, but we're talking about my first 3, 4, 5 videos I've ever made, like ever. I've never even done the whole GoPro slideshow thing with familial pictures and sentimental shit. So, bear with me, but I think there's some good stuff over there. So please go check out the YouTube channel. Just do me that favor. But today I want to talk about something it's an argument, and I honestly request that you just don't have this argument with women. They're emotional and they're going to make decisions based off of irrationality, feelings, and they are going to view themselves superior. They view themselves superior to men. And I've already told y'all, when it comes to this gender shit, there are a lot of ways women are better than men, but there are a lot of ways men are better than women. There's a yin and a yang. And ultimately, biologically speaking, we kind of need each other, at least to make children. Unfortunately, we no longer need each other to have families, because it's like, well, I'll just extract your money and kind of do what I want, because the family structure was very restricted for a lot of women. If I may unpack that a little bit, the welfare state was great. The welfare state is a phenomenal thing for like hoes and women to abandon and absolve themselves of all their gender roles, because unfortunately, in the confines of a family and in a society where a woman can't just take the fucking dude's money via a family court, she's got to fucking bring something to the fucking table. Now, I know the whole virginity thing is a bit ridiculous, especially considering today's women having sex with 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 800 guys. I know it's ridiculous, but there's, what? I bet you there are women in America who've had sex with that many dudes. I would not be shocked if you told me that shit verifiably. But and y'all have to excuse the wind over there. Let's unpack that shit. In a family setting, pre-welfare state, a woman had to be responsible to essentially please her husband. Now, did that leave a lot of room for dudes to abuse chicks? Yeah. But then it's like, which one do you want? Do you want to have a situation where men are ultimately in charge of their families, have authority over their families, and can decide what, when, where, and how his family directions will go, and values and all that shit? And in that system, bad men are going to abuse women. I mean, so the opposite is now what is in place with family courts and all this other shit. And I have to ask you, what was the trade-off? You got scum being scum towards people. That's what scum does. It's not gendered. Scum and evil does not have the face of a penis, or a man and a penis, nor does it have a face of a woman and a vagina. Evil people are just going to be evil. You're never going to fucking change that. So to sit here and be like, well, we'll just kind of do this kind of robbery system, because that's what it is. You're stealing from someone. You're stealing, especially considering abortion. Like, the government essentially in the 60s was like, let's endorse whoredom. I don't know why, but they did. They were just like, let's endorse whoredom. And I can get it from this standpoint. If you're the government and you're dependent on taxes, what better way than to essentially turn half your population into slaves and liberate the other half? Tell them to go out, be whores, be irresponsible with their wombs. Because if these chicks run out here and go and have 4 babies by 4 dudes while they're living their life, or quote unquote enjoying their youth, then the ones ultimately going to pay for all that is men. And you just shave a little bit off the top. A lot of women don't realize that. They're like, oh, child support, free money, welfare, all its goodies. I'm a woman and I deserve it. I'm a woman, so give it to me. Meanwhile, the government shaving, they cut off the top. They double tax it, because men's earned income is already taxed. So what they do is they take it through these family court robbery, vacuum funds. They also steal from Social Security, which is another thing I won't even get into. But they do that and they cut off the top, fees and shit like that. So it's essentially the government's getting double the money. And then when you have a man in a wage slave situation, where he owes a woman and he's got to maintain his own life. Well, this dude's got to get a second job to stay the fuck out of jail. So it's like abstract poverty, horrendous poverty, with this one job where you take 60% of his income to give it to the woman because reasons and vagina. So he's either got to ghost, which is not an option for most men. Most men have family members, brothers and sisters they love. They love their kids. They want to provide for their kids. And the more irresponsible the woman, the more the man's going to have to work. So you get this situation, a lot of these situations, a lot of these women are not good people. You've incentivized women to be shitty people. And what you have done in that, in trying to help women, you helped a generation of women that maybe just had a bad situation. And now you just created a generation of women who ain't shit. The vast majority of women ain't shit. And I'll get into that in the deeper part of the episode. But just back on this family stuff and why the family is just completely destroyed. You know, they have, given the same opportunity, men ghosted too. And there are a lot of men who actually enjoy the system in its current standard. The system, like a lot of dudes, you know, you're running the mill red pillar. They're like, you know what? Yeah, our country's gone to hell in a handbasket. Yeah, family court's an absolute travesty. But man, these women are just giving their sex up to just anybody who's just attractive. So men are just, you know, while I can't blame the PUA community, the PUA / red pill / dating coach community, because that's honestly just the only way you can really, I guess, figure your own way in the system. Honestly, going MGTOW is not a solution to it. It's a solution to preserve your resources if you barely got any. I mean, it's a solution if you're older and you don't have the sex drive to run around and chase pussy all the time. But if you're a young man, you're living in a pretty good time. You can pick up all this PUA shit, buy the pheromone soap, and just kind of do it your own kind of way. Just not like your own way, but like literally your way is just to like go with the flow, enjoy the system as it is. It's kind of like the Merovingian, and I'm stealing this from Turd Flinging Monkey, but that guy who was like Neo, who ran into himself. Like Neo in the movie ran to the Merovingian, who used to be Neo in a previous Matrix. But instead of like taking the Matrix down, the dude lives in the Matrix and he just indulges all the time. And I'm pretty sure because it's a computer program, he figured out a way to where he never ages and never, you know, gets fat from indulging all the time, never suffers consequence of drinking alcohol. So he lives in this system, eating cake. He literally is eating fat, like expensive cake, sleeping with a bunch of women, drinking a fuckload of alcohol. He was just living a big party statuesque lifestyle. And he's just like, fuck it. And that's how I see the kind of PUA / dating coach / your average dude. 90% of men are just like, well, fuck it. I'll just go with the flow of the system, when they don't realize ultimately, you know, you have, at some point, we're going to be looking at like 90%, 95% single mother homes. And you know what's fucked up about that is, instead of like what used to be a small sense of shame with the single mother homes, now you're going to be abstract and obtuse. I'm sorry, not obtuse, but the families are going to be the weird ones come the end of these, you know, when the single mother thing becomes 90%. And I don't know, I'm kind of horrified by that. But let me go through this toll real quick. I'll be right back. So where were we? Okay. I was essentially talking about the breakdown of the family, which, you know, is kind of where I point to. Now, again, I've discussed how there are men that are scum. Yeah, there are bad guys out here. But to sit here and act like because Darquasia fucked some dude in the bathroom at a club and he wants nothing to do with her, and then now that she's pregnant, doesn't mean we need to invent a system that props Darquasia up, because you're just going to make a fuckload more Darquasias. I hate that you say that name, and I'm being very stereotypical there, but fuck it. Sadly, that's just the neighborhood and community that I know. I am black, so y'all can take with that whatever the hell you want. Given all that, though, I think the government should stay the fuck out of the family. Should have stayed. You need to stay. Can y'all name something the government's good at? Having been someone that has served in the military, the government isn't good at shit. Your military is ill-trained. You're not well-fed. You're not well taken care of. The healthcare is shit. American healthcare is shit. Anything the government does is right. The DMV is shit. I mean, the House and Senate, they're shit. They're always on fucking recesses and shit. They get paid for life for doing a job for a couple of years when they get a house or any type of position. You know what I'm saying? They're dudes who make six figures, but a lot of them are multimillionaires from being senators. It doesn't make fucking sense. It's so corrupt. The government is so corrupt. And all women are doing is making it get bigger and bigger and bigger because free shit. But the problem is that shit isn't free. The other half of the population is essentially paying for their fucking lives. Like I said, the welfare state benefits, the beneficiaries of the welfare state is like 80 or 85% women. Most of the people sucking up dollars from the government, free money, all the freebies, all the goodies, 85% of that shit's going to women. The tax base, which is 100% where all the welfare money comes from, 100, or no, let me take it back, let me stop. 80% of the tax base is men. 80% of the taxes is men. So what you have is literally a one-for-one, men take care of women type of thing, especially talking about something like Social Security. Social Security has essentially been raided. That fund is gone. I pay, I think, over $300 a month in Social Security, and I'm not going to see a dime of that shit when I get old. It's all gone. And you have proof, verifiable proof, confirmed proof on Google of feminist organization after feminist organization after, government-funded, women, pro-women, abortion organization, funded by raiding Social Security. So many of these things have been able to go through the back channels, the back door of the government, and raid different funds for themselves. But we got to essentially fund feminism with the retirement money of all these men we've enslaved to work for us. So that's where you can say the system is broken, and that's where you can say you have a lot of men out here who are like, fuck it, we'll just do the PUA thing. And so you have a lot of these dudes, and then you have, ultimately, you do have good-looking men who just slide into the system. Because, guys who are scum, like the welfare queens, like the single mothers, like you made that single motherhood rate go from 20 to 78% in the black community with your welfare state. You had an explosion of scum-ass dudes, too. Why would dudes be upstanding, good, hardworking, go fucking get educated and build themselves up into something? Why would they do that when they could easily just, particularly if they're good-looking dudes? If you're a good-looking guy, or you've got some type of swagger game and you're able to just get women, what incentive do you have to do anything but live minimally? Essentially, good-looking guys don't have a real incentive to go out there and make anything of themselves. That's why they're all fuck-ups. Look at the black community. All the thugs can get all the pussy for the most part. Not all of it, but you know what I'm saying. So it's easier to be a thug and not bust your ass with school, not fucking have this career where you have to work until you're fucking 60-something. It's easier to just be a thug, live off these bitches who are collecting all this money from the fucking government anyway, because I've seen that in my own home. My mom would have plenty of live-in thugs. She could find thug dick so easily. You could throw a rock in the black community and hit thug dick that'll live with a woman and live off of a woman and eat fruit snacks off a single mother's house. You know what I'm saying? There's thug dick everywhere. There are very few educated brothers. And you know what the fucked up thing is? Educated black men are lames, boring. But when bitches need shit, when they're left high and dry by the thugs, and they got 4 kids, 5 kids, 6 kids, 11 kids, that boring guy is responsible for that woman. I mean, he already is because he's a taxpayer. But now she's like, oh, and some of them boring dudes, they're kind of lame. They get kicked out of the black community. Some of them may have some white friends to hang out with white people or other races of people because they've essentially been excommunicated from the black community. So what you have is that small segment of the black male population that you get rid of. You're like, I want you to be responsible for our fuck-ups. I fucked up. I fucked a bunch of thugs, and now I want this black man I had no interest in, 10 years ago. I told him he was boring. I cheated on him even if I did date him, or I used him as a food guy. Now you, the food guy, who I used to use for free meals before I went and fucked some thugs, I need you to take care of myself and my kids because you're responsible. It's your job. You have to be a real man. You need to step up and be a real man. Meanwhile, some of those guys, not all, because only 7% of black men marry white women. Only 7. That's it. A small percentage. 7%. 14% of black men do marry other races, but this Latina, mixed women community, you're talking about pure black women. 84% of black men marry straight up 100% black women. Then you have, your 4% of black men marrying mixed chicks, which, those chicks are considered black. They'll consider themselves black, a lot of them, not all. And then you got 7% married to white women and all that other shit. And then I think there's another small percentage for Asian and Latino women that black men marry. But, of the black men that get married, they all marrying sisters. And a lot of them are marrying new single mothers. I see every day photos of a black man crying at his wedding, asking a single mother's 12 fucking kids that he can marry their mom and be their stepdad. Every day there's a bunch of black men like that. And a lot of you bitches want that shit. You want the Sierra story. But a lot of you chicks don't look like Sierra. So, I don't know. This episode's gone on for a long time. Right away, if you want to unpack, who's the prize, while you're in your 20s and you're a thirsty ass dude, you're begging these chicks to get in relationships and you're finding a hard time just dating, getting a fucking food. These bitches are flaking now. They're flaking like crazy. You're having a hard time to have a chick come out and eat free food off of your check. You have to beg bitches to come out on a date you pay for, right? So you having all this trouble. And when you do date the chicks, you might smash. And when you smashing, you're trying to get in a relationship. You want to tie a girl down. But from your perspective, you're like, you feel inadequate. You may feel there's something wrong with you as a man. There's a bunch of shit going on here that you're not recognizing. A lot of men, not you, but I guess I'm talking to 22, 23-year-old me. If I were to really, when I'm really saying this, when I'm on the quote unquote dating circuit, meeting chicks, smashing one out of every 100 you try to holler at. And that's how bad my ratio was, but at least I put in the work of hollering at that many chicks. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? Even when you get some ass, the pussy's good. Y'all sex was great. I mean, outside of some of the crazy shit you may encounter, like I personally, and I'm all over the place, this is a long episode, but I personally dealt with some crazy shit, like bitches who wanted to be choked, hit, rough, like wanted really rough sex. Shit I'm not comfortable with. Like bitches, like what's the shit called? When you wear out something, like your sensitivity to it, or like, basically, bitches are taking so much dick nowadays. They're doing all these positions. They're having so much sex. They are indulging all their urges, if you will, so much to the point to where they're no longer, you know how it's like, you have no more feeling in a nerve that's damaged. It's like that. Like they've completely worn out their ability to like pair bond and feel, and from normal missionary sex. These chicks nowadays have to be like bukkake chokeslammed by 17-inch dicks by 12 different dudes at the same time just for them to have an orgasm. A lot of these young women nowadays, these millennial chicks, a lot of them, to get them to have an orgasm, you literally got to fucking get a jackhammer and put your dick in there simultaneously with the tip of the jackhammer and then vibrate their clit and then choke them and pull their hair at the same time just for them, because these bitches they've literally lost all feeling in their body because they just indulged themselves out of fucking indulged their senses out of being able to function. I don't know. I mean, I have no word for that. Honestly, that's just the shit I've encountered. And if I'm crazy, if this is some old incel shit because he's sexually frustrated, he's ugly, and he just blah blah blah, then turn this fucking podcast off. Or if I'm saying something that the fuck is true, there's dudes all over America who can resonate with this shit. So, let me just get into it. The actual meat of the episode is only gonna be like 6 minutes. So let me try to knock this out in like a few minutes. The perception that women are the prize is based off of their beauty and their sex and their ability to have kids. They're throwing that shit around like it's fucking hotcakes. So it really doesn't have much value if it's easy to get. Because all you really got to do is be either a good looking dude or wealthy. And if you're wealthy, just pay them. I hate to say it like that. These chicks are just going to use different ways to extract the money from you anyway. They're going to extract it on their terms. They're not going to extract it on your terms. Because on your terms, it's called prostitution. On their terms, it's just like, well, you should just date better women. You chose the wrong one. That's what chicks will tell you, right? So, given the dynamic and all the things that are going on today, to wrap it all up, everything that's going on with them is based off of their physical beauty. It's all superficial, and it's not men's fault that there's women, unfortunately. And I have a daughter, dude. I have 2 daughters actually. I don't like that the world is superficial for women. I honestly try to instill the value of bringing more to the table than that. Stop looking in the mirror and look in your mind. What do you have? What value do you bring to your life? Can you sustain yourself without, going to the government, going somewhere where it may not be guaranteed? Because the only guaranteed source of income you may have is your own work ethic. That's my viewpoint on it, on life in the world. The only guaranteed source of income you have is the brow of your own sweat. The sweat of your own brow, man. Your own work ethic. Unless you got fuck you money or some type of inheritance, all you're going to have is yourself. Sure, the government is going to step in because you're a woman, but they may run out of other people's money because all they're doing is taking money from other people and giving it to you. Robin Hood didn't last forever. There's no more Robin Hoods running around today. That's the U.S. government, but it's not sustainable. So given all that, all of this value is based off of beauty. So the window of a woman's value in a relationship is essentially, let's go off the legal age, so let's go 18 to about 38. Most women are no longer good looking by 35. Most. Your average chick, 35, you're like, meh, it's not, 40, it's done. It's a wrap. It's no longer beautiful. Some of these chicks, because they overindulge themselves and they have absolutely no reservation about overindulging themselves, they look like trash at 32. So given all that, there's like a 10, 12-year window they have to be quote unquote attractive and all that, this, that, and the other, right? Meanwhile, if you look at the man's gender role, not only is the man's gender role enforced through government taxation, but in a relationship, in a marriage, a man's supposed to provide for a woman for way longer than 12 or 13 years. What a woman brings to the table is to have a couple of kids in her fucking window where she has eggs and provide him with some fucking children, which she was only capable of until she's like in her 30s, late 30s at best. And it's better to have your kid before then because the fucking kids are going to turn out all fucked up. But given all that, you don't have much options but to sit here and provide for this woman, because not only are your gender roles enforced by law through taxation, but women are turned off by men that don't meet fucking male gender roles. It's awfully funny. Women are like, hey, I'm going to take my gender role and throw them the way the fuck out. Those things, that's a dead horse. My gender role, female gender roles are gone, dead. But they are, in a lot of ways, they'll tell you all the shit that they like about guys, and if you were to calculate it and break it down, it's like, okay, so you're saying that you want my gender role, or you're gonna not be involved with me, or it turns you off. Your pussy will dry up. And what she provides is 15 years tops. 15 years tops. What you provide is gonna be, let's say a 25-year-old girl got with a 25-year-old guy. She's got 12 years, maybe 13 years of what he may value her for. Now, men don't value women for the physical, but unfortunately, that's only what most of these chicks bring to the table. That's it. That's the tip of the iceberg of what she brings. No, that's a bad analogy. Basically, all she brings is that, and that's it. So what she brings is a few decades, not even. What you bring, unfortunately, resources, your work ethic, dedication, etc. Excuse the reverse signal. That is way longer than 15 fucking years. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're talking about a man, not only after he stops working, if he's smart, is collecting some type of retirement. So until his dying breath, he's giving a woman what she essentially values a man for. What women value men for ultimately is money. The status and all that shit is good for 20-year-old bitches, but a woman wants to be provided for, ultimately. Sure, the looks and all that other shit, the guy has to look good, have abs, have a big dick, but that's only when she's 20 and all that other shit's going through her mind. She wants to live her life. Ultimately, it's all about money and resources, and you have to provide that for 60 years. That 25-year-old guy with a 25-year-old girl, let's say they live till they're 85. That means that man had to provide for that woman for 60 years. So he gave her something that was of value, and it continued for 60 years. let's say all things being equal, he didn't get, have too many health issues. They had relatively smart investments, and they were able to sustain themselves until their old age and have a decent retirement and health care. So they were able to, quote unquote, sustain themselves into their old age. And so he died when he was 85, she died when she was 90, because women live longer. So ultimately, what she was provided with was 60 years of provision and quote-unquote male gender roles, because during that 60 years, he was the protector of her, the provider of her. Probably had to listen to all her bullshit. Listen to her when Bethany bought a kitchen blender or some expensive shit, or linoleum countertops for the kitchen, and he had to buy shit for his home that they own for that Bethany wanted, or Sue's husband bought her this, or Sue's husband bought her a BMW. The unemployed housewife has a BMW, so you have to buy her a BMW when your wife's unemployed as well. Like in that 60 years, this man is putting up with all this shit and providing all that shit. And in turn, she gave him 15 good years, if he's lucky, if she's in shape, if she doesn't eat 7,000 calories a day like your average American woman. He got that. That's what he got. And you're telling me women are the prize because they have 15-year window where they mostly fuck off for that 15 years and waste it anyway. So, I don't know. That's just how I break down this whole gender role, what's the prize, this is the prize, all that and other shit. But you guys tell me, because I think you can argue who's the prize and who's not. It's a conversation y'all should have. And I'm probably going to upload this on Facebook so y'all can have the convo, or on YouTube. So let me know. I'm out.